Good afternoon, YouTube. It's Wednesday, October 10th, and about 1:30 in the afternoon. And on the way over to the store to pick up some stuff for the wife, and thought I'd tell you a little story on the way. This will be a firefighter story, and it's something that just happened, but it illustrates a number of good points, and I thought it was worth kind of explaining the whole thing to you. So while I'm headed over there, let me kind of lay out the background story for it. Well, I'm at the very tail end of 1971. I bought a new mobile home. It wasn't anything fancy. It was 12 by 52, 2-bedroom, 1 bath. The 1 bedroom was so small I basically used it as a storage room, but I was living by myself at the time. And I actually took delivery of it on December 31st of 1971, and it was listed as a 1972 trailer. And well, make a long story short, it's still there. It's in a little trailer park on the north side of town. Well, about an hour ago, I was watching the noon news, and the news story was covering the damage in Florida after Hurricane Milton came through, and of course that was a pretty big disaster. And I was going to try to tell you this story while I'm driving, but you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to pull up here in the high school parking lot and see if I can find me a shady spot so that I can tell you the story a little bit better. So I'm right here right now. Let me just pull in here, and there's some trees here. Maybe I can find a spot in the shade, and maybe I can't. Looks like there's a police officer here in the shade. One shady spot. Let me see if I can find the other one over here. Yeah, there's a spot that'll work. You can just park. There we go. Now I can concentrate a little bit. I'm actually going to turn the truck off and tell you this story. It's got some moving parts. Anyway, as I said, I bought that mobile home and put it in a little trailer park, and it's still there. It's the same trailer park, still there. And so while I was watching the news, I heard the north side engine 12, get dispatched to that address. Space 45 in that trailer park, and of course it caught my attention right away. I lived there up till, 1976, when I bought the house that I'm living in still. Bought it new, and been there 48 years now. But anyway, so they got dispatched to my the old trailer. So what was the call? Well, it was reported as a man who cut his hand, a bad injury with a power saw. And well, the north side station is located less than half a mile from there. And so for planning purposes, we figure it takes them a minute to get out the door. And it takes them, for every mile, it takes them about 2 minutes, and that'll be a sustained speed of 30 miles an hour. So they should have been about 2 minutes away from there. Well, of course, the modern fire trucks are all equipped with, medical gear as well, and paramedic level, and all three of the local engines are paramedic engines. So they were on the scene within 2 minutes. While they were responding, the shift supervisor, who's a battalion chief and goes by the radio ID of Battalion 1, he heard the call and get dispatched, and so he decided to respond as well, that's pretty normal as well. And if I was working battalion chief that day, I'd have responded on that call too. So anyway, everybody got there, and I told my wife, I said, if this is bad, the guy's going to get a helicopter ride, because it's going to take special surgery if it's a real bad hand laceration to try to save the hand. And so sure enough, after the engine was only there for a pretty short time, and they get on the radio and they call alarm, and they ask for the helicopter, put a helicopter on standby, see if they're available, put them on standby. Well, the dispatcher, she'd taken the call originally, and based by the information she was given, she'd gone ahead of time and made sure the helicopter was available and had already put them on standby. That's some pretty heads-up work by the dispatcher in that case. And so the helicopter was already waiting. Well, the helicopter is based out of a pad at the airport, which is approximately mile and a quarter or so from the scene. So the helicopter was already on standby. So they basically loaded the patient in the ambulance, and they call it, in that particular case, there's nothing that can be done to really mitigate the situation. They call it kind of a scoop and run call. So they loaded the patient up in the ambulance and transported him to the helicopter. And I told my wife, I said, they're probably going to fly. There's a specialty level 1 trauma center that has just about every specialty in the country there, and it's located in downtown Scottsdale. And the nickname for it is Scottsdale Osborne. And I told my wife, I said, if that's bad, they're going to fly him to Scott's Oz. We call it Scott's Oz for short. And sure enough, everything went absolutely perfect. Transported the patient. Helicopter lifted off en route to Scottsdale Osborne. Male patient with an isolated hand injury. So, is that an unusual call? No, not really. We live in a retirement area, and about 75% of the fire department's calls are medical. And out of that, there's a whole lot of hearts and strokes and falls. But construction accidents aren't really that unusual. So I figured I'd talk about this call. Just number one, it just happened. Number two, I had a connection with it because it was my old trailer I used to live in. And it just kind of serves as an example of how the system is supposed to work. So while that helicopter was en route, they radioed ahead, and they mobilized a team of microsurgeons that could work on that hand. And so when the helicopter set down there at Scottsdale Osborne, they probably rolled that patient directly into surgery, and they're going to do their best to try to save his hand. Now, I have no way of knowing how bad it is, but I can tell you if they flew the patient, it was bad enough that they felt that was an indicated treatment to see if they could save that hand. A little bit of a glimpse into the world of modern fire service and emergency medical services and how the system works, and figured I'd take a few minutes for today and kind of bring that to you. Something a little bit unusual, something a little different than the last couple of videos that I brought you. So as I always tell you, take care of each other and love each other. And I'll be back again with another one here before too long. I got something pretty exciting in the hopper, but I'm kind of waiting to see if it all comes together like I think it will before I tell you about it. And so until I talk to you again, best thing I can do is just tell you, peace out.